Hey, most beautiful spirits. It's a little smoky in here. That's okay. Welcome to the Elements of Spirit, the weekly reading series from EdibleSpirit.com. I am thrilled to be back with you. Always glad to share this space with you. Always glad to share a space. And thank you. Thank you for coming back. Wanted to remind you why I do this, what we're doing here every week. And the way I'm going to remind you why is the stones that jumped forth today. Blue-green kyanite. This is called Mystic Agate, which is from these two. And this is rose quartz from Tandem Gems in Vancouver, my homies. And then this is called carnelian, right? So these stones jump forth, talking to me today, being like, all right, this is what we're doing today. This is what we're dealing with today. We'll see if this is where the channels go once we start talking about readings through the elements. But unconditional love, right? Never-ending empowered communication and exchange of hearts, thoughts, and minds. Magical exploration of said communications, right? Mystic agate. I've been using this as like a channeling stone. And this is second chakra based related. Healing of desires, shames, feelings, feeling states, emotional bodies. Just looking at these stones that jumped forth to come into the readings with us today just made me realize and remember that we're here doing these readings on the weekly in order to cultivate a balance of the elements. It's a way of looking at your life, engaging your own material through the elements of earth, air, water, fire, and ether. Ether being the element that all of the other elements find themselves in. The other four elements, earth, air, water, fire, having an affinity for each of the astrological signs. You watch the ether, you watch the astrological you watch the element associated with your astrological sun sign or moon sign or rising sign as you like. But the whole point is that we're using this interface of the elements to look at ourselves, to look at our lives, to look at what is working and what is not working, what is in alignment and what is not in alignment. And it's pretty easy to see lots of things that are out of alignment in the world, lots of things that are out of balance. The goal of this is to heal, right? Any emotional whatever that might stop you from looking at your own stuff, that might stop you from looking at your own life, looking at the balance of the elements in your life, and hunkering down with what's working, amplifying what's working, and adjusting what's not working for you. Then, theoretically, through the self-application of those just very simple ideas of being able to look at yourself, look at your life, look at your experience, and keep going with what's working and don't go with what's not working. When we start talking about the public interface, right? When we start literally talking about those emotional feeling states, talking about them, inquiring into them magically, we create the space for unconditional love, both within ourselves and in between ourselves. Why is this important? Because there seems to me a lot of the time to be this attitude of like, let's just grit our teeth and get through this shit and get as much as we can and just subscribe to a kind of model of living that maybe works, right? Maybe your model of living is totally working for you. But why we do this is to be able to have the guts, have the balls, have the oomph, the chutzpah to look at your situation, to look at your life and really ask questions. I was talking to a friend yesterday about how she and I have been sort of willingly unpacking everything that we think we know about ourselves, willingly questioning everything that we've taken for granted or that we presume to be true, even if it's good stuff. Taking it all out, and what a disorienting state that is to take everything out and look at it and be willing to let go of what's not serving and lift up what is, let go of what's not working or what's out of alignment or what's causing drains of energy and lift up what is. And then we started recognizing that when all of those elements that are inside of yourself are taken out and spread out on the table, if you don't know where you're going, it can be very disorienting. So we started talking about, or if you don't know what to work with or where to start or how to prioritize, it can be very disorienting. So part of this is that Part of the elements of spirit is that trying to contextualize this ongoing process of taking everything out of inside of yourself and lifting it up, looking at it, observing it, questioning it, getting rid of what doesn't work or what's not in alignment, lifting up and elevating and embracing that which does work and which is in alignment. And we were talking about how that can also sort of be thought of as a willing ego death, willingness to kill your darlings, a willingness to look at yourself and to be willing to sacrifice that self, to reimagine that self, to reimagine the way that you do things. And part of what I care about and what I try to do is to see how we can have the personal courage to look at our own self and our own material and whatever is not working, because that personal courage, or even that personal allowance, right? Giving yourself the freedom to do that, giving yourself the space to do it, taking the time to do it, right? Not everybody has the time to work on their shit. And some people will not take care of themselves because they see it as like a bougie, upper class, like leisure time thing to do. My feeling is like, if you have leisure time, if you have like any money to kick around, isn't that exactly what you should be doing? Like taking care of yourself and meditating. Part of the problem is when that self-care and meditation and all of that stuff becomes such a lifestyle that it doesn't actually lead to any kind of active change in the world. So the bigger work that I try to do with Edible Spirit is to come up with personal and individual ways to carry whatever your healing practice or whatever your mystical practice is turning up for you, how to carry that over into the world through service, through creative acts, but mainly through the expression of yourself, the expression of your truth. Because, I always say, like, we are the change we want to see in the world. Like, that's it. Like, don't like fantasize about being it. Like, we are it. So, who do we want to be and what do we want to change? That's my point. But what's weird about this is this strange divide over how do we go from working on ourselves to working on things in the world. And there's not always a clear answer. So in deeper work that I get to do one-on-one with people, we spend a lot of time examining what is the most empowered form of my empowered, what is the most empowered form of my truth in self-expression, or my truth in expression, most empowered form of my self-expression. And how am I using that to change the world, lift the world? Sure, make a little money on the side, whatever it is. But the whole goal here is to be able to look at yourself, right, and be free of shame or worry or insecurity in turning that lens and looking at yourself, communicating freely, openly about what we see, magically even, but communicating about it so that we can turn that same lens on the values, on the structures, on the lives and the goals and the motivations that we share as a collective, as a race, as a species, as beings, as humans. And then, hopefully, with a butt ton of unconditional love and persistent nurturance, right? This whole combination of self-healing, magic, right? Magical exploration and communication, social, never-ending exploration and, social never-ending communication, right? Between us, supercharged, high-vibe communication of hearts, minds, and ideas, right? Mixed together and get this beautiful fuel of unconditional love behind them. And then gradually, we start changing everything. Not because we've criticized and picked apart everything that's going on out there, because we've done the inner work to support the transformations that we need to be accountable for individually, which might be massive, but which might also just be like getting through your week without being a bitch, right? Either like active nasty bitch or like, passive like whiny bitch, right? We're offering tools. The elements are offering tools to deal with your own shit so that we can have the courage together to be like, I'm healed, you're healed, we're healed enough to look at stuff that really needs to be healed without atrophying. And this is also one of the other insidious sorry, but like potential conspiracies that's going on, not being perpetuated by any shady Illuminati figures necessarily, but I'm saying it's almost like a catch-22 conspiracy in which, you know, we are criticized for taking care of ourselves or for looking at ourselves, so we don't do anything about whatever we care about in the world, or in which, you know, or the other side of it, in which the pressures of the world, the struggles of the world, the traumas of the world, the pains of the world are so constant, so chaotic, so without any warning or without any possible way of keeping up, right? Like, how do you keep up with constant chaos? Well, you cultivate constant peace, right? That's the best I got. So, or at least as much peace as possible. A constancy of peace, a constant invocation or welcoming of peace. And so I just wanted to explain and share that this is why I offer this in an ongoing way that allows you to carry this material throughout your week and use the affirmations that are connected with each of the elements. And why we've been doing it for a while, so that you can hopefully so that you are hopefully building up an understanding of the elements, both within your life and within the world, but also especially within yourself and within your own consciousness. What's the difference between earth, air, water, fire? How do they feel? How do they sound? What do they taste like? You know, when do you feel them? What does it feel like to feel earthy? What does it feel like to feel etheric? You know, these things which seem very abstract are sort of wonderful tools, for esoteric tools, really, for creating a framework of understanding for yourself. And you can even, like, an interface of understanding for yourself, so that you can then, through cultivating that inner awareness of whatever that interface is, you turn that interface into your immediate world around you, and then you can start to see, you know, the world at large and your position in it through this interface, which maybe isn't as overwhelming as an interface of, like, escándalo and, you know, and erectile dysfunction pills, like that happen on, you know, the motivating forces of you know, cable news networks, right? Different motivating forces. The motivating force here, like I said towards the beginning of this, is to just remove some of the stigma around looking at your shit and working with it and healing it. It's like, nobody wants to be told they need to heal, right? But who the fuck doesn't need to heal? So tools, right? Tools to look at self, tools to dive magically into self to the point where self encounters that collective, right? How to keep that connection juicy and charged and vibrant and full of information, fueled by unconditional love and an awareness that we are one, but not just one, that we are one in many, seeking full consciousness of our unity, right? So yeah, we are all one, but we got some work to do so that we constantly remember it and are constantly coming from that place of unification. And it's that space of unification in which we are able to deal with ourselves, you know, until we meet the collective, share and work and communicate in the collective on waves of love and unity, that to me presents at least the best approach to collaboratively, gradually, not just solving problems, but ultimately creating a framework of self-reflection, communication, and expression that supports visions of unity and oneness and love. So I thought we were going to do the readings right now, but obviously this is a 15-minute long moment, which you can choose to listen to or not. We're going to start another video and go to ether right now. I love you guys. Thanks for listening.